I don't see the
Yet you should be able to see the chat now. Greetings, peace, everyone. Welcome to
green.
Shema Anu. If you can see us and if you can hear us, please put 1, 2, 3 in the chat. I am Achyot Moksha, and I'm joined by Achyot Munirah. Shalom, shalom, Chief Yuya. Greetings, Deidre Salih, MPH. Thank you. All right, you want to greet everyone. Achyot Munirah. Say peace.
I am. I was waiting. Shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom, family. Greetings into the room. Come on into the room.
So Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to again another reading of Shema Anu and of the Anu way, right? Called Shema Anu. And we want to acknowledge that there's a 20-second delay. So, just be patient with our responses. And sometimes there's an additional delay because sometimes we get caught up in the chat and answering the questions and building, right? So bear with us. Before we begin, I would like to open the space and reverence and give honor, praise, and worship to the Most High. We want to give thanks and praise for being able to move through a strong and be able to come forward and edify ourselves and edify our family and, share space with each other, share space with our Anu family. And, those of you who join us religiously every single Yom Shishi or every single Friday to open up the Sabbath with us. We want to thank you for doing that. And thank Yah for creating that space for us. And thank Chief Yuya for creating this space to do so. All right.
All right.
So we'll begin with the preface. And I'll be reading a condensed version of this, which is pulled from the Anu Way Foundations. This book is not to be read only once. Read the words of this book of knowledge and wisdom out loud. Discuss the convictions of this work with your Anu brothers and sisters. Share this information with your people. This publication should be read daily. Every line in this book can be taken out of context and studied on the strength of its own potential. The truth is to be deliberated. Chief Yuya Hassan.
Give thanks, Sister Achyot Moksha. And so now we have gone through many chapters in the family section of the Anu Way, and now we are on the section of family structures. And as we do with Shema, the first thing I'll do is I'll read that passage, and then we're going to break it down line for line, line for line. All right. Anu promotes the most stable and functional family structure for the individuals involved. Family design is comprised of dynamic organisms. Regardless of the fluidity of the structure, there is a standard that Anu maintains that is immutable. Anu structure decrees that the man is the head of the homestead. He is the master of the house. In this, he is the steward over all that resides within the perimeter of the household. This pertains to the women, servants, and all the assets of the home. Therefore, he is the owner of all of those constituents and what they produce. All members of the family are members of the Anu kingdom. If they are not, the household now has a cross-cultural dynamic which only leads to confusion. There should be one master of the homestead. This dynamic is a static component of Anu households. Okay, so the first line we state, Anu promotes the most stable and functional family structure for the individuals involved. So the first thing I began to look at was what exactly is structure? When we think about the idea of structure, we're looking at something that is built or organized. And this can pertain to organizing people and in regards to what we're looking at as far as family structure, but also we see that like in constructing buildings, right? So when you're on a construction site, they always have a foreman. So that foreman would be that the first or the lead, the chief. And what does he do? He overlooks the progress. He overlooks the project. And he has, the foreman has the plan, right? And he lays the foundation. This is our foundation. So we're speaking of our structure. And we all know that our structure is outlined in our hierarchy model. And with our hierarchy model, it starts with Yah, then it's to the man, then the younger men, then the women of the family. So,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to be digging deeper in the structure and why it's important that we are highlighting or making it known that the man is the leader and the head.
I wanted to add on to that. From the jump, we see family indicating strength, structure, family structure actually indicating strength and endurance, right? Because of that reference to stability, right? So there's a promoting of stability and functional family through family structure, right? And so, if we think about the secular world and how very weak those foundations are, we see high levels of divorce, we see a lot of separation, we see a lot of confusion. A matter of fact, I think large populations of young people are not even, marrying or moving into mating, right? So the idea of family structure allows for us to get to stability. And, if we're stable, then we can actually have a foundation and be able to grow from there.
Exactly. So we're going to move on to the next sentence. Family design is comprised of dynamic organisms. Sister Moksha?
So I actually wanted to jump back to, because I forgot. There's a beautiful piece in the kingdom section of the Anui that actually speaks to stability, right? And that stability is not necessarily that of the secular world, but really looking at stability and glorification based on what is given to us by Yah or the Most High. So we talk about stability and that being related to family and family structure, but understanding that that's a glory to the Most High, right? We're not just doing it because or it looks good or it's cool. There is a divine reflection of family and family structure that we see here that is a mirror of the Elohim. So
And yeah, that section is talking about not looking into what the secular design urges us to. And that's very important because we see that lack of structure all around us. Right now, you may know, Sister Masha, that I'm taking a hiatus from social media and all things outside of what we're doing here in Anu. And it just allows me to focus on that structure and what's important and to dig deeper into the Elohim, to dig deeper into Yah and how I can connect more to it. When we are tethered to other things, it separates us. And when I was looking on social media, I saw so many things that's like, what is going on? Because you can literally see how things are falling apart because a lot of people have been raised up without structure, been raised up without that stability or even ahead, you know?
yeah, the other piece to this, the section actually says that we recognize that our greatest merit is our ability to root and move with a call of reformation. And so again, I feel like there's so many layers and connecting pieces back to stability, because prior to Reformation, you are unstable. There is a huge, imbalance. And I see some references to discomfort in the chat, so I'm not sure what's happening, but we're going to jump in the chat a little bit to see what's happening after this line. Let's jump to the other line, right? Which was family design. Because if we don't, you know what's gonna happen.
It's about to happen over here, so let's.
Family design is comprised of dynamic organisms. So one of the things that came up to me when I thought of dynamic, I thought it's a descriptor, right? It's describing or shows up several times, and it shows up several times. Sorry, in this section, dynamic, constantly, right? And we know we know dynamic means change, right? Something can be changing over time, but there's that also change can be based on vision and mission and strategy that a man presents. So it's not just changing at the drop of a dime, at the whim, changing your cultural ideals based on what the secular world desires or what someone else is feeding into you or programming into you. It when we're talking about Anu family structure, we're talking about dynamics and changes, but that's specific to the lead or the head.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the idea of dynamic being a hint toward progressiveness, right? Progression and development over time. So, and maybe I have it, maybe I have it wrong, but there's, go ahead.
No, I mean, because when you said that, I don't think that you have it wrong, but I thought of a different type of dynamic about how the organisms constantly change, and I was thinking about how um, the actual members of the family can constantly change. You know what I mean? It's like, when we read the passage, it said he's over the women, the servants, and all the constituents. So that may change over time. Sometimes Auntie might need to come in underneath that head because maybe her head passed, or something may happen. Things happen, things change in the family, and that was the kind of one way that I saw that that those dynamic organisms changing within that structure.
Right. So that's one way that the structure is dynamic,
Mhm.
right? Or but the organisms, meaning the members of the family, are dynamic because of that change, but also because the reformation is change,
Mhm.
right? That development and that progressive mindset is change, and it actually allows for us to evolve, right? So, I really, as I was thinking about, I couldn't think of an example, but you could see how those two layers of the idea of dynamic actually applies to Anu and Anu members of the family. You want
Um,
to jump?
um,
Go
yeah, because I cheated a little bit. I peeked. I peeked at the chat a little bit. And
ahead.
they have the conversation without us. They're leaving us behind, Sister Moksha. But he posed the question. He said, "How uncomfortable are all of you hearing this?" And I was like, "Well, what is he talking about? Is he talking about because we have an echo that's making it uncomfortable?" But I when I first read the passage, I step outside of myself and think how this may make others uncomfortable as far as saying that the man is the head, the man is the lead, and said it in different ways, but throughout the passage. So coming from where we come from, this can make a lot of women uncomfortable. And it can also make a beta male feel uncomfortable that, oh, I have to step up, I have to lead, and I have to take charge. But yeah, the uncomfortable part for me is thinking of someone who is not from our culture, who's living our culture, would be mostly from a woman's perspective, and it's like, I'm that's not how things work around me because I run my household, or I'm used to being independent. I'm a strong woman, you know what I mean? So it's like I feel that can cause some uncomfort for women or females.
Right. Well, it just means that you're not an alpha and you're not functioning within your role. So if you're willing to sacrifice that, if you're willing to sacrifice what your role is, then hey, go on. But I'm gonna say to you, that stability that this passage opens up with is real. The idea of being balanced, right?
Mhm.
That's through family. It doesn't happen any other way. And family functions off of leadership, and that leadership is master, head, the man. That's the navigator.
And the consensus from the females is that there is no discomfort, and that's awesome. And I feel like if there was any amongst anyone that what I would say is get comfortable being uncomfortable, because eventually you'll find that level of understanding where that discomfort will dissipate. Mhm.
Right. Yeah, you must get tired of being uncomfortable. If you really acknowledge it, you're gonna get tired of being uncomfortable, unstable, imbalanced. Yeah.
Mhm. All right, all right. I'm not gonna do that.
I wanted to Sister Kashia says, and I'm gonna share it just because if she says I'm more uncomfortable with a lack of this understanding in folks and how it shows in what they produce.
Right. And I believe Brother Antonio responded to that and said, it does bother me that this has to be actively taught to our people due to the effects of living in alien culture for so long. Right on, brother, right on.
True, that's true. And we don't even recognize that it's alien to the point where when it's pointed out to us, we would actually say, "Oh no, that's mm, I don't think so," right? And that's everyone because there's an acknowledgement that has to take place, and sometimes we don't realize it until it's too late. And I'm saying we, but I know that we have all, as our new members, started that process of reformation, acknowledging and taking on responsibility for what the alien culture we once lived, right? Because that's a reality that we all have to say, yeah, that's real.
It
That's
is real. Chief Yuya adds, a lot of folks still are deeply programmed with delusional structures of family and gender roles, so we always have to check, regardless of what we are tacitly agreeing to.
right.
Mhm. That's right. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it fluid.
Okay.
Regardless of the fluidity of the structure, there is a standard that Anu maintains that is immutable. Again, this standard, our culture, this doctrine that we read daily, it is unchanging. This again is our foundations. You want your foundations to be what you build your structure off. That's what the starts the stability. We are getting our energy, our spirit from the top down, but when we're building, you sometimes you have to start from the bottom, because that's where we're pulling each other up out of the gutter. You know what I mean? We have to get to that higher level of understanding and transformation and reformation. So this is what we stand on. This is our standing, and it is unchanging. Though the plan that the man may be putting forth, the plan that he may be projecting, will change, and it is our role as women to go with it. It is not our place to question what the plan is or what's happening next. It's He's the lead, he's the head of the homestead, and our duty is to be that helpmate to whatever is going to happen next.
Yeah. And it sometimes we think that things are just biblical and that's it. And we don't realize that there's even down to the DNA structure and our biology dictates or shows us where and how we actually should function. So we think, we're always going to think, okay, well, this is the command, and not realize that, yes, this is so. There's also the way we're structured, the way we function as women. It is very difficult to take on that leadership role and not become masculine, right? Unless, again, no, seriously, unless again there's leadership among sisters, right? Because there's a space for that, and there's a space for that. I think Cassie Duran got invited to the space. And come on in.
We pull you on up out of there. um,
I do
so that is,
not know priest in Superfly, so just bear with me.
I remember the movie.
Go ahead.
I was trying to remember that part of the movie. You got me on that one, Chief.
Oh, okay.
on that part. But so this line is speaking about fluidity, right? So I'm thinking about so recently, Sister Moksha actually did strong, less strong. She did a beautiful. She gave a beautiful teaching on the elements, and one of the things we learned about water is about what is it cohesiveness and how it bonds to each other. Water, it attracts to yourself. And in reading the Noir Mill, there is a line that said the bond between man and woman structures the matter of the family. So, I mean, if you haven't read Noir Mill, you should know that there is a brother work to it that comes with the album and some beautiful music that you can enjoy that builds off of what the actual book is giving you. But I just felt like we need to celebrate our men a little more and being a little fluid with that. So the question that I have tonight for the women is, and you know the men can answer as well, but what creates that bond between Anu men and women? You know, we were both there were some really great attributes that were outlined in the Anu way. Um, and I just want to know what bonds us to each other. What is it that brings us together?
All right, and I'll put the question in the on screen. So
Mhm. All right, so you know we always talk about a 20-second delay. So I guess I'll answer. We can answer in the meantime. But you know, I have to admit I went right back to the Anu way when I was thinking about that, and I came across where it says if a prospective spouse is not interested in uniting in your righteous ambition, you are attracting the wrong article in them. And I'm like, it's not about those those many those things that don't matter. You know, when you are choosing a mate, not those things that are, oh, he's a handsome, he's attractive, he makes money. It's about does he have a connection with Yah? Is he able to um, use his strengths and that connection in order to build a cohesive plan for the family that's going to get us to that promised land? You know, it's those things that when you get older, when you stop looking at what doesn't matter and you take you do that sober assessment is like what is going to help all of us grow and how are we going to build, and so those are the things that I focus on, and that is what would attract me to Anu men, you know, because I know that per our doctrine, per our culture, that he is being built up and to be all of those things. You know, once you adhere to what we are doing, then there's no way that you can fall off short.
you know, well, I'll take a try. I am thinking there. So there's a section in the Anui that actually speaks to the idea of the understanding of love as being connected to discipline. So I think what bonds us is that exchange of love and respect. Because when you think about respect, that's seeing the light and the source of one. And if I could see the source of that man, then I understand where that authority and that leadership is coming from, right? He's ordained priest of the homestead. So it's that respect that's necessary for me to now say, okay, this is my place right here. And it's not about the meek or the, like feigning humility or anything of that nature. It's like really seeing the source of authority from that man and, being in full respect. And that allows you to be humble and to be able to, what do you say? Drive in your lane. I'm trying to find something funky to add to it, but yeah, just staying in your lane kind of thing, and understanding your duty and your value. And that love is that there's an exchange happening there between the two. I think that aids in bonding. And, the culture, the culture, the culture bonds us, right? We buy, I'm going to take all the answers, y'all. I think the culture bonds us because then there's no if, ands, buts, or maybe about what my role is and how I function and the things that I value as a woman, right? As an Anu woman. But as a regular woman, yeah, there may be, several different things that are misaligned to what is important and valuable to Anu culture. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to it. Love and respect and culture.
Culture, love, respect. All right, we have a few answers. Sister Kashia says, knowing and operating with the divine role effectively, reciprocity. This is what bonds the Anu man and woman. Sis Ema Precious says, we are bonded through the work culture and adherence to law, love of Allah's wisdom. Sister Deidre shares that shared culture creates the bond and faith in the Creator.
You're moving so fast. I can't find that.
Oh, you
I'm
can.
trying to put them on the screen.
I'm using StreamYard as opposed to YouTube.
Yeah,
The bond is created through both living a righteous culture, having strong morals, and strong integrity. Okay. Chief Yuya says blood. The desire to prolong the bloodline of the Elohim is not something we orchestrate with finite human thought. Our blood holds an ancient imperative and it authorizes our mating choices. Sham the Joy, she says, we are bonded by the mission, culture, and the spirit of the Elohim. All right. Brother Antonio, he adds, we are naturally attracted to one another. Our bonds are created from the relationships we build based on an agreement to live based on common laws, goals, and culture. And we have a lovely quote from the Anu Way, added by top tier speakers. Love is the connecting force that binds. Who added that and messed up my line? I couldn't. I'm saying I got it. You messed up. Connecting force that binds from the inner to the outer. Emma, Safta Arlene saying greetings, everyone, greetings, Safta. All right. Thank you all for that.
I have to say this.
Okay.
Top speaker says Anu woman loves Anu man. Okay, I just had to say that. All right.
And this is one of those lines again that might make people uncomfortable. Anu structure decrees that the man is the head of the homestead. I don't know why that is. This is not foreign. I think in current days and current times, this is foreign because of how things have changed. But this isn't foreign. This is pretty. It should be standard. Has anyone read the word in the Bible? It says it right there. The idea of hierarchy within a patriarchy is natural, and it's a divine reflection of the way that Elohim intended. You agree?
Can you repeat your statement again, please? Sorry.
I said the idea of hierarchy within a patriarchy is natural and a divine reflection of the way that Elohim intended.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. When we think about, the way the divine authority moves and flows from Elohim to Adam or Adam, right? We learn from what was shared in Bereshit that authority flows from Elohim, or the breath of life was blown from Yehovah to an animated Adam. And he then was able to, give birth to Hawa or Eve. So we see that there's the authority passing from Yehovah Elohim to Adam, and then Adam being gifted the role and responsibility of curating um, the garden, and just keeping it safe, and keeping that culture and those laws. Um, but also the woman, or Hawa or Eve, functioning in her role under his authority, or under Adam's authority. So I think that that's a clear, it's a clear way to show us, even in Bereshit, or the beginning of the book, that there is that hierarchy, right, and that structure, and that structure should be reflected in family as well.
Mhm. Can you catch that quote from Kibuya? Because it might go away as I'm reading it. But he just made a good point. And yeah, there you go. He said a man heading a household organization militia legal body is not foreign, but the prince of the air consistently tells you to do the opposite of what works towards spiritual refinement. Yeah, there you go.
The disruptor,
Disrupting.
the prince of the air.
Hmm.
But
But yeah, you want to read it? There you go.
yes, but the fact is, I think about tastes and how that is created and inculcated in folks, so that they so that they like what ultimately has been put in front of them on a consistent basis. This is true.
Mhm.
It's programming, right? That's kind of like constantly. Um, and Noir Mail talks about that a lot. Noir Mail really explores, really explores that programming that's given to us, so much so that we begin to see how, man and woman move away from the divine role, because, like, there's an agenda that's being pushed. And if indeed we're bonded by blood, because there's that drive to create family and to create kingdoms and to constantly evolve and extend the lineage, right? I think the idea of programming us so we don't respect each other as melanated men and women, and we kind of separate, it means that we don't create stable families,
Mhm.
right? So if we don't create stable families, we have cross-cultural issues, there will be breakups, and there'll be segregated or separated homes. That means that we'll have separated minds, or minds that are unstable, right? Because they
Okay. Yeah. You cut out a little bit at the end.
Oh no, I said that there'll be uncertainty, because that there is that, like, mixing of culture, and you know.
Okay. All right. Brother Cruz, he asks, Abba Cruz, the blessings of the agenda regarding the cleaning of our bloodlines and developing in our purpose to bring the will, soul of Yah onto earth happens when the Anu man and Anu woman come together. Thank you for that ad, brother. For that ad. All right. He is the master of the house. In this, he is the steward over all that resides within the perimeter of the household. So when I went to 120 with this one. It's he's the one. To quote Chief, he said in one of his talks, I believe the name of it was Alpha Male, and it was about the family. But he said, left unto itself, the feminine principle does nothing, wants nothing, and needs nothing. It has completeness, but also has nothing. It is that masculine principle that says, I want something and creates a trajectory. And that spark from the man adds direction. So he creates the course or the path that we are to take. So when we're looking at the one and you're looking at knowledge, of course, knowledge is that foundation again, foundation of all things in existence. It is that black man, the Asiatic black man, the original man. And he is the center of the family, controlling them with the knowledge of himself. So and when we deviate from that path of knowledge, then you deviate from that path of righteousness. So basically, it's without the man, then we have no direction. We're just that cipher, that womb, that's going around and has no angles or anything. We're just going around waiting to be added to the man and have some direction put onto us. Because again, what Chief always say, like, all we want to do is party and have fun and do nothing. But they come in and lay down a plan and give us direction so we can get towards or reach that righteous state.
Ima Sequoia has, and anyone else can comment on this. Ima Sequoia has something. She says Eve was created from Adam's subconscious while he was asleep. So I wonder if this is why the bond of chemistry is unconscious. What do you
think? That's a good question. I don't think. I shall ponder.
In fact, Bahamas is the one who shows and proves the foundation that is the sun. She is the reflection of the foundation. Oh, he's responding to.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take this question off because we're finished with it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So there you go. Chief says the bond already exists. There's always subtle sexual tension between Anu, women, and man. When that is absent, there's a sickness within, no different than a dog smelling their master dying or ill.
Very strong.
Yeah, I just thought about Brother Zach saying he always got the good analogy.
Yes.
With the examples, right?
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. It's very clear. Very clear. All right. So we can jump to the other section of this statement. This pertains to the women servants. Did you read this part already? Hold on.
I did not.
Oh. This pertains to the women servants and all the assets of the home. Therefore, he is the owner of all of these constituents and what they produce. So, that includes the children, right? That includes the children. So I know if you say that, maybe this speaks to the question that was asked earlier, if anyone is uncomfortable or who's uncomfortable. Are you uncomfortable recognizing and identifying or acknowledging and accepting that the man is owner of everything that comes from that homestead, right? Servants, women, but also what is produced. So children are produced from that homestead. So that would be his lineage, and therefore he owns the rights to his lineage, right? He owns that lineage. So that's something to not ponder on, but to think about if you've had thoughts that are in opposition to that. And I say that because we hear women say all the time, yeah, my children. You hear it all the time, and the my is in uppercase, right? But not really. You are used to help to bring forward youth, but the truth is you do not own them, right? They are the of their father.
Even
what's that?
No, I was thinking about, we talk about the bloodline, and even when you look at what is it, Genesis 5, when we went through the names of the lineage from Adam, and it didn't say it wasn't talking about Eve and Ruth and Rahab, it was talking about Enoch, Adam, Seth, Noah. So it's speaking of the father, because they are the head, they are the lead, they are the ones who are guiding or leading that lineage and that bloodline.
Definitely.
It's how, again, knowing the meaning of the son and the daughter, how the sons are the builders. Was it Ben, right? And the daughters are, they go out. It's like the daughters are the branches, but the sons are the ones there that are the head, and they guide that specific. They're the trunk. They're standing there in place, leading the bloodline. uh,
I
Chief,
know there was.
yeah, Chief answered um, Emma Sequoia's question. He says Adam didn't know of Eve beforehand. We run from our subconsciousness, our subconscious energy. It was Elohim who establishes the bond. Originally, Adam would have made it with anything, if not. Hmm, understood.
Right. This is why he had to. There was a recognition in Bereshit that everything else had a coupling, right? Everything else, but he needed to be mated as well. Hmm.
Indeed, indeed. So we're going to
So
keep.
also says, so you mean to tell me the woman bakes the bread but can't even claim ownership because she didn't plant the wheat? Does that make sense to you? Oh, she bakes the bread, but she don't have ownership because she didn't plant the wheat. Well,
I don't own the land that the wheat was planted in. It was all. It was for y'all. You know, when we read the book. These was laws for y'all. This started with you. So yeah, I can't claim ownership of much of anything. You know, I am to be directed and tell me where to stand, where to go, what I need to do in order to move your mission further.
and when we talk about women being a vessel, right? You're a vessel. So you're not gonna own the water poured into you, right? But you're a vessel because you're holding. You're
Yeah.
holding. You're holding.
And you don't own it, but we can change it. You can make it better. You can do things with it. You know, you're supposed to use it. I'm going to help make this better. You're not going to pour into me in order for me to what do you say? So you don't. Hey man.
Right. But again, what is produced?
From
So what is produced
yeah.
is about what comes from. Not the thing itself. But Sister Kashia says women should be trained to be owned. They should be trained to be owned and be happy to be owned.
Mhm. Well, what if she got her own land and planted her own wheat? Asked Brother Antonio. Um, well, that shouldn't be where her. That's great that she has her own land and planted her own wheat, but that's not where she should place her faith. You know, she'll find greater wealth in establishing herself in order to be with a lead, to have a head. So all those things, yes, she should have those things and more. But her righteousness comes from being covered and being with a man.
And Brother Antonio, that sounds like she walked into a clinic somewhere. She's not going to be able to figure out who the children belong to, the lineage. It's going to be mass confusion. I'm just saying. People pay a pretty penny for that confusion. Uh, I selected the land myself. I planted it myself. I paid for all of that. Just because you want to have youth, but the truth is, youth are products of family. Family.
All I thought about was Miss Sophia. Oh, Miss Sophia. Mm-mm.
I don't know the movie reference.
I
Sorry.
know the movie references too. Thank you, Sister Deidre, for opening up the space to have movie references present. What man can master a whole entire woman and children? Please don't say an Anu man. Have you trusted a man to completely own you outside of sex play? A righteous man. That's for those in the chat to answer. Right.
Right. That's a yes.
Mhm.
That's that's a yes because you can't say I'm going to because that's not that yeah that means there's no gas in the tank. That means we could go in nowhere. Nowhere. It has to be yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Everybody's laughing in the chat. I don't know what they're for.
They laughing at Chief.
Women, Sister Deidre says women want to be Mrs., but don't know, want, or accept the reality of that title. True, true. Don't know or want to accept that reality. And sometimes may not even understand what that requires. So she says, "Ooh, this is moving fast. Then why do some of you still struggle with trusting a man?"
Oh,
This is a good question. Why is there still a level of mistrust?
well, there can still be some levels of sickness that still haven't been drawn out of her, perhaps.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may think you've reached that level of transformation or reformation, and still some of it is hanging underneath. Still has been hired or suppressed beneath the surface, and that still needs to be pulled out and dealt with.
This is it's true, and I accept that there's a process. If light is being given, right, and poured into you, then as a woman, then that struggle of trusting really shouldn't be present,
Mhm.
right? But I think part of the struggle with trusting is that a man is that you want to lead. You constantly want to be the one who says, okay, makes the decisions, no matter how crazy or foul or absolutely, you know, imbalanced life has been thus far with all the decisions you've decided you want to make. That lack of trust is there because you refuse to relinquish that you refuse to relinquish it, right? You want to hold on to it so badly. Um, and sometimes it's because of that confusion, because you want to lead, you want to be the one who makes the decisions,
Mhm.
and the lack of trust is there because you just think that trusting yourself is enough,
Yeah. Mhm. Chief says, then you're not even yourself to hand over. If you're claiming the sickness is still there, you're owned by your dysfunction. So what you're saying here is theoretical. It is a theory. It is a theory. I'm not, if we go back to the question, yeah, then why do some still struggle with trusting a man? To the chat, my sister.
Ipako I was about to say Ipako Bahamas. Even when exquisite meals are put in the pottery vessel, woman, the focus is still on the meal, source nutrition, as recognized as the pot is still a vessel made to receive source. Okay, thank you for that. She says, I don't think they're laughing at Chief because I'm asking serious questions. Who owns and masters? Hmm. Who owns and masters the sickness?
That is a serious question.
Who owns and masters the sickness? This is true. You know, no one wants to own and master sickness. You know, she
So with
says,
this theory, it goes
well,
back to my earlier question. Have you trusted a man to completely own you outside of sex play? And
oh, I see.
I would say no. I haven't. I haven't. Um, I also have not been with an Anu man as of yet, as I am still unmated. But yes, I have not trusted a man to completely own me. I am prepared to.
Mhm. You know, so we could maybe to a certain degree talk about the covering initiative and how that functions to get you ready, right? We, I'm talking about the, just the you on a whole, like a general level, ready, both men and women. And so, like it means that there's an understanding of trusting, or I don't want to say it's practice, but preparation for trusting that begins with that covering. So yeah, there's certain things that will not be extended, right? Because I don't want to get into too many deep details about the covering, and so on in terms of what happens, but because I'm not sure if this open public space is the right space to do so. But if the truth is, if it is preparation for both the Anu women and men, then that trust level should be there.
Mm-hmm.
Should be there. It should not be okay. Well, I'm willing to. Well, when it gonna be? Because the when it's gonna be, we're gonna, you can't wait until you say, okay, that time. It's kind of like how people wait until vacation to actually live their life, right? It's like, okay, I'm coming down to when that big time comes around. You do it now.
You do it now. It goes back to being comfortable with being uncomfortable. If it's not there, if it's not in you, then you're working towards making sure it's in you and not on you. You know what I mean? You have to fully adhere to the doctrine and the culture so that you won't be in a position to be uncomfortable or not be prepared when that time comes. So being fully submissive and obedient to your covering, you're speaking of the covering initiative, and that gets you to where you need to be in your place. Play your role, play it well.
I think I missed the deeper statement, but brother Antonio says, right, the submission is requisite to the structure of the family. It's that part of it goes back to the idea of the stable, right? The fact that promotes stability. That stability is that stability comes from that submission, the trusting, all of those things. That's how you get to balance, right? Because if there's a lack of trust, if there's a lack of submission, then you can see how roles are misunderstood. People don't know where they're supposed to be. You're supposed to be here 3 o'clock. You're supposed to be in spot X, but you're in spot Y. That's a problem, right? That's a problem.
Brother Zach says, make me think of Squid Games. Who owns the sickness would be the person. Like the show, they volunteered to put their life on the line, just like people chose which direction they want to go. Good deal. Even when it comes to relationships, with fathers, there's an experience of being owned. In the patriarchy segment, Chief shows how that experience prepares men to own and prepares women to be owned.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if you are preparing, I'll got with my question from a few Shivas ago. Why would you do it if you have to family up in 90 days? Would you still be talking and walking the same as you are today? What would you do if you have to family up in 90 days? Would you still be talking and walking the same as you are today? It's dire. You need to be changing from day one. As soon as you learn the truth, then you should be how do you put it? Entering the space. You got to come in hungry. You know what I mean? So you got to come in starving and ready to gobble up all the information and getting to that space of understanding so you can reach that righteous place. Yeah. You can't talk and walk the same. You have to make immediate change. There's no point in knowing the truth and not actually adhering to it or applying it.
No, I'm in the. I'm sorry. I got caught up in the chat. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Brother Antonio says, even when it comes to relationships with fathers, there's an experience of being owned. In the patriarchy segment, she shows that experiences prepare men to own and prepares women to be owned.
Okay.
Chief also says, then if you are preparing,
I just read
I got my question from a few Shivas ago. What would you do if you had? Did you read that?
those. Yeah, I just read both of them.
Okay. I'm way behind. That's what's happening.
Mhm. Yeah, it's okay. Even Precious as trusting a righteous man should not be a problem, but unfortunately, through generations of women rearing their daughters towards independence and mistrust, many have found themselves far from the mark. From the mark. Give thanks, Ema Precious. And we are close to time. Sister Moksha, is there anything you would like to add on that one?
What I would like to add that before we move on,
I was saying that it was close to time. It's 7:27.
it is. But we're not finished. I think we have another sentence, right? Yes.
We have one. Yep.
Yes. But all the comments in the chat is pulling me.
I'm trying to help you out.
I'm so sorry. Okay. All members of the family are members of the Anu kingdom. This goes back to Ima's statement. Top tier speakers, right? Anu men, Anu women are for Anu men, right? Anu women love Anu men, and Anu men love Anu women. All members of the family are members of the Anu kingdom. If they are not, the household now has a cross-cultural dynamic which only leads to confusion. Only leads to confusion.
So what happened in the Garden of Eden when the serpent came and whispering to Eve, causing confusion? But of course, we dug deep onto and in solutions for dysfunctional family relationships about cross-cultural relationships and how when those systems, when those cultures are clashing, it's not going to lead to any production, but stagnation in the growth of the family unit. It also says two cultures cannot coexist within the same home. Over time, one culture will naturally strive to ascend to the dominant position. This brings one culture to the recessive and the others to the dominant. And we see this so many times when women are pushing their beliefs onto the man, and they're pushing their culture, and they want to do things this way, and they want to have this big wedding, they want to have all the things that make them comfortable, and not allowing the man to actually lead the household. And we've seen, of course, in so many of those same situations where those relationships do not have longevity.
Yeah, I want to jump on this, but I feel like there's some some additional questions, right? Questions that were posed that we actually should not skip over or leave unanswered.
Yeah, and it seems like they're for everybody.
Yes, exactly.
I'm saying everybody.
I'm saying because I want us to go back a little bit, and like, I'm not going to call on anyone, but Precious says reformation, humility, and receptivity are the beginnings of redemption.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned the close time because there's sisters that are preparing for another segment after this, so I want to give them opportunity to prepare. That's why I mentioned 7:30. We do have our womb build. Remember?
I remember, but this is good. This is good. There's a lot of engagement and serious questions being posed, right? Sister Kashia says we should already be living in the way that is correct. There should not be an um, end all be all situation that makes us desperately want to do what is right. This is true. True. You shouldn't be strong arm forced to situation should not be the reason why you're deciding, because if that's the case, that's what will lead to um, cross-cultural dynamics as well too, because you're coming in with errant thoughts. You come and errant because you're not selecting because this is what is right, and you're toward what is right. You're just doing it because of convenience. So it's going to be a detriment to the family or the homestead and the man. Well, or maybe not. Maybe you see whomever a male come in and say breaks. I don't know. It is important for us to identify and understand how well men are able to analyze us, and we think we're hiding, right? Very well.
No hiding. It's no, just that just made me think about when we were talking about Titus 2 and in the section where it was talking about the elder men teaching the younger, but it's like they already have in their mind, they already know what they need to do. They already worked it out. So when I give you direction, when I give you information about what's about to happen on this mission, it's like I already worked out where your head is. I already know what you're going to think. And they have to did we put up the thumbnail? So on the thumbnail, there's like a chessboard, right? So you think about playing chess and you have to be 7 steps ahead, right? So that's how the man should always be thinking. And that's how he's leading. It's like, I know what's going to happen before it happens. And that way, with that type of, with a man with that type of righteous thought, there shouldn't be any discomfort. There shouldn't be any worry of where he's leading me or how he's directing me, because you know that you are under the covering or under the head of a righteous man who's led by Yah.
Thanks, Brother Roman, for that little notification and announcement. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe, please. And join us again for another Shema. We're not done yet. Brother
No, I was saying I'd have missed Sister Kashia saying it. Like, she didn't say like, share, and subscribe. I missed you.
She's fully engaged on keyboards. Brother Antonio says a man is not allowed to lead a household. There is a pervasive idea that a woman steps back and lets the man lead her instead of willing or willfully coming under the plan of her master. True. Well, go on and build the wombs with your but these were childish behaviors and quiet, loud attitudes.
Indeed, Chief. Give thanks for always offering your wise, sage guidance. As usual, you always add so much to the conversation, which is so helpful. And I will definitely take these questions and not even challenging.
Yeah.
And quiet the loud attitudes and behaviors. Indeed. All right.
Thank you.
We have one more sentence. Listen, we gonna go. Y'all.
Okay. We have one more sentence. That's right. There should be
only one more sentence, and I actually, when I read it, I was like, "There's no debate to this." The last thing it says is there should be one master of the homestead. This dynamic is a static component of Anu households. It's just the truth. We say the truth is to be deliberated, but it's like, what more can you say? There's no debate about it. That's what this conversation is about. Regardless of your feelings or emotions about it, shouldn't be guided by our emotions. It's about logic, and that man comes with that logical direction. So it is the truth, and this is what we stand by.
And the closing statement is really highlighting.
I man, I can't say nothing. I can't do nothing. Whatever I say is just taken all the way wrong.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm missing some of this. Sequoia says, right, Aki Antonio, we submit willingly because we respect the patriarch. Altar pixie dust. Oh my goodness. All right. Oh, I see the part you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to, just say how this last sentence really highlights that, or reiterates, sorry, that there are components in family structure that are dynamic, and there are some that are static or mutable, right? And they're unchanging. So the members of the are all going through reformation and evolving. There's change. Things are dynamic. We are dynamic people, right? But the structure of hierarchy and leadership and headship is consistent. And that is true for all of the homesteads within Anu culture, right? One master. And if you have, yeah, I won't even go there. One master. We're not even going to think about what the other one looks like, because that leads us, back down to the lower levels that we don't want to focus on. We want to focus on, that righteous family and what that looks like. Precious, but in true recovery initiative has shifted my posture and perspective quite substantially. So she ready in 90 days. Okay.
Give thanks, give thanks.
I really appreciated this build. There was a lot of engagement. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining Shema and Nu. For those of you who come through every Yom Shishi is Friday. And actually, we're in Sabbath right now, right? Yeah, Sabbath has started. So for those of you who are on here and you're able to move through Sabbath with us, Sabbath Shalom. Enjoy your rest. Enjoy your time with family. Enjoy your time reading and learning and growing. Pick up the Anu Way and read it again and read it again. And, come through. If you have questions, ask any of the sisters you see here presenting Shema. Ask Brother Antonio, come into the chat and just, put your question in the chat, and we'll be able to explain some of the questions you may have on concerns. And for those of you who are interested in being a part of the Anu family, please, Sister Munirah, tell them, where should they go? What should they do?
INewLifeGlobal.org. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. We do have several publications, and also check out New Orleans Mail, as well as the accompanying album that goes with it is Brother Work. But yes, definitely. Good night, Lila Cove, everyone. And yes, thank you all for your participation. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Shabbat. And as usual, Shalom, Anu.
Peace.
Peace.